Craig. This is Alameda County Department of Environmental Health's community meeting to discuss environmental issues and proposed cleanup actions at TTLC Moreau's redevelopment project located on Mission Boulevard in Hayward, California. At present, we do not have any members of the public attending this meeting, but we're going to go ahead and give a presentation and tell you about the proposed cleanup actions and community protection measures. This tape will be uploaded to YouTube, and that way people that are interested can go view it at a later date. It goes without saying after all of that this meeting is being recorded, and we also have Spanish interpreters if needed. With me tonight is Drew York, who's the project manager from Alameda County. Drew, can you raise your hand?
Good evening.
Right. And we also have representatives of TTLC Moreau, and then John Permani and I work together, and John is aspects of this presentation. Again, the site's located on Mission Boulevard in Hayward. It's a redevelopment project. The property is contaminated and it will be cleaned up to support redevelopment. The property map is here, Mission Boulevard and Jefferson Street. You can see it outlined in blue. Next slide, please. And just an overview. So the site is being redeveloped into live-work buildings, 8 4-story townhome buildings. Historic operations at the site have contaminated the property with metals and petroleum and pesticides in soil. There's also chlorinated solvents in soil, gas, probably from an off-site source. So that means that a source not on the site is contributing to that. Most importantly, TTLC Moreau, the developer, didn't contaminate the site, but they are cleaning it up, so addressing environmental issues to support future redevelopment of the site. The meeting tonight, important to note, is focused on cleaning up and taking care of environmental issues to support development of the site. It's not to discuss development. The site has been entitled for this development project. Alameda County Department of Environmental Health provides oversight of environmental activities. They are not involved in site development. Next slide. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Drew York, again, project manager with Alameda County. Drew?
Yeah, thanks, Tracy. Like Tracy said, I am with Alameda County Department of Environmental Health. I am the case manager for this site, and I do a lot of redevelopment sites all over Alameda County. In respect to our agency, we oversee the investigation and cleanup of subsurface contamination. We also oversee the mitigation of risks associated with the exposure to the migration of such things as soil vapor and subsurface contamination. You can see the other regulatory agencies on here. The City of Hayward, they're responsible for the planning and building approvals for the site. You can also see the Bay Area Air Quality Management District, and they're responsible for the air admissions. So we focus on the remediation portion. We don't focus on planning or permitting approvals for construction or architecture or anything like that. Next slide. Yeah, so
Drew, I just want to note we do have one attendee, and I have promoted you attendee to a panelist if you so desire. That way that you can talk at any time if you'd like. If you don't want to be promoted to a panelist, and simply what that means is this is a webinar, attendees don't have audio or visual feed. By promoting you to a panelist, you would have both, so we'd be able to see you and hear you. So you could talk in real time. If you don't want to accept that promotion and need to ask a question, you can either type it in the Q&A box, you can type it in the chat box, you can raise your physical hand if we can see you if you want to be promoted, or you can raise your virtual hand using the icon. So thank you for attending. We're glad to have you here. And I'll give this back to Drew. Thanks, Drew.
Sure. So part of the process that we go through is we require the drafting and development of a corrective action plan. At this site, subsurface investigations to facilitate that corrective action plan have been conducted, I think, since 2019, and that's to evaluate soil and groundwater, subsurface soil, groundwater, and then soil, subsurface soil vapor. Based on the past past uses at the site, the past uses included an auto repair facility. It also included, I think, some residential, and then lastly, very early on, it included a nursery as well as some row crops. So there has been contamination found at the site, metals, potentially from lead in paints or aerial deposition prior for unleaded gas, petroleum products, potentially from the underground storage tank associated with the auto repair facility, and then pesticides, as I mentioned, from the row crops in the orchard or the nursery that was on site. Additionally, in soil gas, there has been detections of chlorinated solvents. Chlorinated solvents are usually cleaning products, and based on what the developer's environmental consultant is seeing, it appears to be from an offsite source. We see a lot of that along Mission Boulevard, traveling along Mission Boulevard. So currently, the developer and their environmental consultant have submitted a corrective action plan that summarizes all of this investigation data and proposes remedial excavation, which we'll talk about, and then mitigation strategies for soil gas. As part of that process, we require a 30-day public comment period, and then also this this public meeting. So we're in the process of reviewing that right now, and after the public comment period ends in April, I think April 19th, then we will move forward. Next slide. So part of the proposed corrective actions is remedial excavation. There will be targeted excavation in hotspots across the site, and that will be from soil from the surface down to 2 feet below ground surface. There will be consolidation of other impacted soil that is not above hazardous waste disposal criteria, and that will be consolidated and capped under future buildings. That way it is not in contact with utility workers or people who would be putting in utilities or other things of that in the subsurface. The targeted excavation soil will be transported to an offsite disposal facility, and then clean backfilled material that we will review and approve will be then put in those excavation areas. Next slide. So for soil vapor, the proposed corrective actions right now are the installation of engineering controls that would be under the building, as well as along utilities that are going to be entering the site from Mission Boulevard. Those engineering or vapor mitigation systems, they include, as you can see in this picture here, a plastic barrier, which is this blue barrier. Sometimes it's spray applied, and vent piping that is underneath the foundation. And then again, what we call trench plugs along utilities to prevent potential offsite contamination from entering the site along utility corridors. And then also we require long-term operation and maintenance manuals, as well as inspections of the engineering controls that have been installed. Next slide. So another aspect of it is what we require is the protection of the community during excavation. So we require a soil and groundwater management plan. This outlines how you'll be disposing of material if you find anomalies in the ground. We require a real-time perimeter air monitoring and reporting. So there'll be sensors or instrumentation on all 4 sides of the site, upwind, downwind locations that will monitor dust. Other best management practices include keeping the soil damp. So you'll have a water truck that sprays the soil so dust doesn't kick up. Reduce speeds, stopping work when on a very windy day. And then ensuring equipment is free of soil before leaving on the site. That would be, brushing the tires off, having rumble strips. There's also stormwater management. This is primarily overseen by the Regional Water Quality Control Board. However, we do oversee some aspects of this. So that would be the straw bales, and things like that control the runoff from the site, and then also severe weather plans if that were to occur. And then lastly, there is signage along the site fencing that will have the names of usually Tracy and I, and then other agencies who are involved with the project. Next slide. So for truck management, we were talking to the developer tonight, and it sounds like all the construction workers will be staged on site, and the trucks that will receive the soil will be idling. Will have limited idling, but will also be in an area offsite, which is still being determined. It's not going to be in neighborhoods, from my understanding. There's other things that we require that prevent the track out, which I mentioned before, which is rumble strips, which are things that will knock the soil off when a truck rolls over it. You can see this gentleman right here brushing the tires off a truck to prevent the soil from exiting the site. And then the city of Hayward also requires truck routes that each truck driver will have to adhere to. Next slide. Okay.
I think that's me. So just with regard to communications, as Drew mentioned, there'll be site signage with contact numbers for both Drew and for me. And important to note that during actual environmental work, so when they're doing the environmental cleanup, which will last a couple months, Alameda County oversees that work. Once that work is done, the Bay Area Air Quality Management District, and that number will be up there as well, oversees work. So if you have complaints during the environmental portion, Drew or I are your contact person. If it's after environmental work is done, then it would be the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. We also have the technical reports that support the cleanup of this site are on the GeoTracker database, and that will be, how to access that is on the next slide. John? Okay, so approval of the corrective action plan, again, how they're proposing to address contamination at the site will be done by May. If we get any comments from the public, we'll respond to those and send the response to the folks that commented. Environmental cleanup work is slated to last 3 months. It will be done concurrent with redevelopment construction work. It looks the same pretty much, except air will be monitored. And then again, for June, July, and August, if you have a complaint about dust or anything, you call Drew or I. After that, it will be Bay Area Air Quality Management and another phone number on the site. Communications are ongoing. We encourage you, if you're attending, to put your name and your email in the chat box, and we'll send updates as we move forward. Work hours are approved by the city, and they are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, with right now no weekend work planned. Next slide. Okay. And finally, for more information, GeoTrack is the website where you can access the corrective action plan, as well as fact sheet or any other information related to the site. Drew's his number is to the left, my number's to the right. Most importantly, that's my cell number. I actually answer it and you can reach me 24/7. So if you have a concern over the weekend or late hours, I'm perfectly able to call me and I'll answer it and deal with the construction team. And then finally, we do have a representative from Moreau here. That is Kelly, and her number is there as well. That concludes our presentation. And we only have one member of the public attending. I'm going to give that member a chance to introduce him or herself and ask any questions. And if you'd like to not do that, that's fine as well. Okay, I'm assuming that we answered your questions. I'd like to again, you're welcome to call me. My number is 510-334-4866. Not all people like to speak on a video, especially if you're being recorded. So if you have any questions afterwards or any concerns, you're welcome to call me at any time. And I'd like to thank everybody for attending tonight and wish you all the best for your evening. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.